People of God, y'all doing all right? Good. It is me. It is me. It is me. It is a Tuesday. We are so excited to be here among the land of the living, as well as those of you who see folks dying. It is a wonderful time to be alive as we see things that are unfolding, and we see things that are spiritually unfolding and prophetically unfolding. And then we see those who are trying to push a prophetic thing we see in the scriptures and push it into what we see happening today. Y'all know we've been in wars and rumors of wars for many years. Since the time America was a nation, started off, we've been in wars, and it's been rumored that we'd be in wars. And so every time there is a launch of some kind of bomb or any scuffle, we go right to the Bible. All right, good practice. But just wait. Y'all so impatient. I'll see you in 60.
Beach. Yeah, it's the show that will get you thinking. We're the top tots. Feel free to comment whether you agree or not, girl.
Jones.
He's got something to say.
Sir Walter Jones. Sir Walter Jones. Before 9, 7 days a week. Always on time, but his time is not free. Sir Walter Jones, always on fleek. Latest trending topics, have you jumping out your seat.
He's got something to say.
The water's fine. Hello, everybody. So Water Jones Show. I'm here. It is the midday connection, baby. Come on in, Water fan. Y'all doing all right? It's so good to see all of you bunkers out there, all of you folks, all of you visitors. Hit the share, subscribe, and hit the like button and all the stuff that the moderators will eventually tell you all to do to help this show go along. And as I see, I don't see any moderators available right now. They all either at work or, well, yeah, I see Luann. Luann's here. So she's going to be working hard by herself today. Yeah, okay. April's probably doing something. All right. Let's talk about this thing. Listen, as it pertains to this Iranian, Israel, America thing, big problem. What's the big problem? Guilt by association. America continues to tie itself to Israel, and Israel loves it. I've never in my whole life, and I've only been here for about 60 years, I never seen so many Christians tie themselves to unsaved folks like we do here in America. Maybe y'all missed that. In the land of Israel, there is only 2% Christians over there right now. Two bits in one. Two. Which means almost everybody over in Israel are non-Christ followers. Many of them are anti-Christ because Jesus said there will be many of them. Many of them are part of the synagogue of Satan. Many of them say they are Jews, but they are not. But I never seen so many Christians in America say put their billions of dollars together a year through AIPAC, through Kufi, Christians United for Israel, and all these Hagee stuff, and all these the Congress. The executive branch. I've never seen so many so-called Christians. I've never seen them link up with so many unsaved people. And the only reason why they're doing it is for the same reason why and how Donald Trump got elected as president, is you must take scripture and push your current situation in there and pull it out. That's called eisegeting the text. All right. and making this strong man something that God has approved, and that is Cyrus. And then going in there and in the Old Testament especially, and pulling out stuff that you see that you think is applied to what's going on today. 1948 has messed us all up. How can a nation be born in one day? We see that in scripture, and we've took that and pushed that over to Israel. And if they are a nation, they let me correct myself. They are a nation. Israel became a nation in 1948. The problem is, were they God's chosen people? They won't read the Bible. It's crazy, and they run around wishing for the last days. That's all they're doing. They're just wishing, hoping. This is why we've been having all these Left Behind series. We've had I can't think of the men who wrote those books back in the 70s, and they were always every 5 to 10 years saying that Jesus is coming on this day. And you got fascinations going on in the history of America when it comes to this. We over romanticize scriptures to where we always, and now we're scared because chips are in the hand. We're looking at artificial intelligence as being the mark of the beast, and oh man, and because Amazon now got these stores where you just walk in and it just automatically grab the money out of your wallet. That's the mark of the beast, and the phones are the mark of the beast, and it goes on, and we are just all over the place. And I'm bringing up this intro like this because we have locked hands with Israel for so long, and Israel is like that brother of yours who always get himself in trouble. Israel is Lot and Abraham. Israel in America is Lot and Abraham. Because Lot kept getting in trouble. Abraham had to come to his rescue. And Lot was rescued out of Sodom, not because God thought that Lot and his family was holy and righteous and obedient, but the scripture says that God rescued Lot because of Abraham. The United States has linked itself to Israel because they think that God has ordained it to be so. That's why we give so much to them. But Israel keeps getting itself into trouble. They are Lot. Well, we already know America gets itself in trouble. I'm topical, so we'll talk about that in another show. But we're talking about Israel. So Israel keeps fighting, keeps getting in scuffles and wars and all kind of things. And America keeps coming to its aid over and over again. So now Israel decides that he wants a war with Iran. And so they said, hey, America, hey, Abraham, can you come and help us out? President after president said, no, we're not going to do this because an attack on Iran is an attack on China and Russia and North Korea and all the other allies and proxies that are out there. No, we're not going to do it. And an attack on Iran is an attack on the geopolitical, economical more so, because of the Strait of Hormuz. 20% of activity that goes through there may seem small, but as you can see, y'all, that small 20% became much. And so you all linked up with your Cyrus, you put him in there, and that Cyrus linked up with Benjamin Netanyahu, who's not a Jew, And then they said, all right, we got the right guy in office, Trump, and then he going to do whatever we say. And then Trump says, all right, let's do it. Here's the mess we're in. Be careful who you link up with, because they could bring you, I'm telling y'all, it's funny, but yet it's not. But you can get involved in a relationship with somebody, and that person could pull you into a situation that could get you killed. Brothers, you link up with the wrong woman, and she got a baby daddy. She's got a baby daddy issues. And you link yourself up with him, with her, because you say you're in love. You got to deal with the baby daddy. And one false, wrong move could get you taken out of here. That's what we did when we linked up with Israel. Matthew 24:6. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. You all think that the end is now. You all been saying that for the past 100 years. Yes, come on, Sherry Hackler. You either go up or you go down. But you know who let himself be flattered and ego-driven narcissism. I know. So you got to be careful who you link up with. All right. So let's look at some stuff here. Let's look at some liberal media right quick for my conservatives here. Hate when I play liberal, but when I play conservative media like Fox and Newsmax, they're quiet. They don't say anything. All right.
When Trump's Energy Secretary Chris Wright tweeted out that the U.S. Navy was escorting ships through the Strait of Hormuz, when in fact we weren't, did he think they were? Did somebody tell him that we were? Did he have a good reason to believe it? When he did that, that wasn't even the start of how well the Trump administration is handling this teensy little problem Trump reportedly thought would be no big deal when he decided to launch an unprovoked war on Iran. Trump reportedly told his advisors that he did not believe Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz if he attacked Iran.
Oops.
Of course, Iran did. Then Trump's defense secretary said the Strait of Hormuz was open for transit, except for the small matter of the Iranians attacking ships that tried to pass through it.
This Hegseth is one big joke. He literally said, all right, other nations, it's okay to go through the Strait of Hormuz. It's safe unless Iran strike you. It's the dumbest thing you can ever say. Of course, that's a duh.
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln. Then Trump told Fox News that ship captains should, quote, show some guts and just sail through the strait because they had nothing to fear because Iran was defeated and wouldn't attack any more ships in the Strait of Hormuz. And then Iran attacked more ships in the Strait of Hormuz.
Lord,
and then Trump said that the U.S. Navy would be happy soon, very soon, to start escorting ships through the Strait of Hormuz. And then the Navy was like, no, my lord, no, we cannot do that. The memorable phrase there was that it would be a, quote, kill box for the United States Navy if they even tried to do that. Then, in advance of a presidential press conference today, Trump administration sources apparently told reporters that very soon, the U.S. government would be announcing a coalition of allies who would be working together to escort ships through the Strait of Hormuz. We were about to announce who our allies were going to be in this joint collective effort. And everybody printed it like that meant it was going to happen. When will you learn? Watch what they do, not what they say. Because then the president held that presidential press conference and he announced, quote, we don't need anybody to help us in the Strait of Hormuz. We don't need
anybody to help us in this Strait of Hormuz. Yet, he didn't call. Listen, y'all, you got to be careful how you treat people because you're going to need them. Let me rephrase this. You got to be careful how you treat people on your way up. That means your way up in success as you spit on people and step on people on your way up. Be careful, because as high as they climb, that's how deep you're going to fall. A tall building, as high as it goes up, that's how deep the foundation must be. So as he was going up, as he was coming into office, as he was in office, he was putting all kind of tariffs on these nations. He was spitting in their faces. He was trying to take Canada and take Mexico and take Greenland. And now he wants to take Cuba. He said, we'll take it. All right. He's going to take this. And he's and all our allies are like, France, Spain, Great Britain. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, he put all those tariffs on them, and it's like they were struggling. He put tariffs on a country that only have penguins on the island. The penguins. Remember when he put tariffs on the Penguin Island? All right, now we decide to launch wage war. Well, not officially, only Congress could do that. Over in Iran, and they told him, his advisors, don't do this because you don't have access to the Strait. And you're like, don't worry, they're not going to close that, because closing that will affect all these other nations. And what did they do? They closed it. So now Trump doing all this, his Secretary of War doing all this, saying we're powerful, we are a sovereign nation, we can do whatever we want to, we're powerful, we are a force to be reckoned with. Now they're like, hey, China, let me speak to China, please. Yes, I'll hold on. Yes, I don't understand. Chang, I don't understand all that. I need an interpreter, please. I don't understand that. Was that racist, y'all? Was that racist? I need an interpreter. Okay, yes. Yeah. Tell Xi Jinping we need help. Hello. Shoot. France. Oui, please. Yes, put him on it. Yes. We need help. Help for where? Well, they closed the Strait, and we need you to give us a bomber or two. And if hello, shoot. Me no speaking Espanol. Spain, please. Hello. We can do it by ourselves. We can do this all on our own. We put our Navy in there and let them go through that Hormuz and No, it's a kill tactic. Oh shoot. You got to be careful how you treat people, because every nation said, heck yeah, to the no. This is your war with your buddy Israel. You fix this mess. Be careful, because on your way down, the same people you spat on said, nah, bruh, I can't help you.
Anybody. We can do it ourselves.
Anybody?
Then he said that he'd be announcing very soon who, nevertheless, was going to be helping us in the Strait of Hormuz. Then he berated and insulted our allies for not doing anything to help us in the Strait of Hormuz. And then reporters all over the world started checking with their own governments. And indeed, whatever he thought he was announcing about other countries coming to help us in the Strait of Hormuz, nobody is.
Look at that. Germany to Trump. We won't help you reopen the Strait. European countries reject Trump. Australia won't send naval ships to Strait. Spain rules out participation in the military operation in Strait. U.S. allies rebuff. Nobody wants to help us.
Coming to help. And in fact, he can't do it alone.
Praiseworthy.
And so, what do we got? I mean, maybe we'll get a ballroom?
Bueller.
Russia's doing really well out of all this, as the skyrocketing price of oil fills up the Kremlin's coffers and makes them solvent again after all these years of dictatorship and corruption and going on 5 years of their disastrous war in Ukraine. Russia now is not just getting rich off of Trump's war in Iran. Russia is outright helping Iran kill U.S. troops and target U.S. facilities in the Middle East. Trump's U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Waltz, says Russia has a wartime, quote, strategic partnership with Iran. Iranian officials have publicly confirmed that they have Russia's, quote, military cooperation. We reported last week here on this show that Trump had responded to that by really making Russia pay. Oh, I'm sorry. No, by relaxing U.S. sanctions on Russia. Since then, he's done so again. He has further relieved Russia of the burden of U.S. sanctions while Russia is helping kill American troops.
Lord have mercy.
But it doesn't stop there. David Korn at Mother Jones Magazine reports that Trump's DOJ has also, very quietly, just chosen this auspicious time while we're at war with Iran. They've just chosen now to ask the courts to withdraw a guilty plea and reverse a prison sentence that was given to a guy who the FBI said is linked to Russian intelligence.
I wonder why. Let me go somewhere else here as she goes deeper into that. Here's one of my places to go, geopolitical, the economy report here. Okay, let's see what he's got to say. We'll play a few minutes of him.
But it's quite clear,
and go a little deeper into this,
that we are going to be discussing. As the war in Iran continues, there have been several major geopolitical developments that we are going to be discussing today. Now, everyone knows that some of the world's largest oil and natural gas reserves are located in the Middle East, or a better term is West Asia. And
Yes.
this war,
Thank you for saying that. All right. He decided not to call it the Middle East. And for years, I have told y'all, all right, we're going to say the Middle East for the sake of it being what they call it. But it's not the Middle East. Africa was part of it. And then yet this is a redistricting, a problem that the United States continues to have when it comes to elections. Congressional districts. Another word would be gerrymandering. This is how we get the so-called Middle East. It was political. That's how we get Netanyahu and all these Zionists down in that territory now called Israel or Jerusalem. It's all political. All right. So this calling it the Middle East is a red herring. So this brother calls it West Asia, which is a better term, like we see in Scripture. And the Apostle Paul and the other apostles went up into Asia Minor. All right. This is West Asia. And that's the correct way. I agree with him here. Okay. Meanwhile, we'll continue to call it the Middle East for people understanding what the Middle East, because people know it as that. But that's not what it is.
has led to what the International Energy Agency has described as the biggest oil supply disruption in history. This war that the United States and Israel launched on the 28th of February has caused the global price of oil to skyrocket from just around 60 US dollars per barrel at the beginning of 2026 to now well over $100. And
how many of you all, or how much of you are paying gas right now? How much is your gas where you are? It's right up. It's $4.19 up the street from me right now. $4.15. It's typically higher in the city area. You got to go to suburbs for something a little more cheaper. But how much is it? I've seen it mid $5 in on the West Coast, especially in California. What is it for you all?
Iranian officials have made it clear that the price of oil is going to continue to rise, potentially to $200. And this is why there are now many reports warning that this could unleash a global economic crisis, because oil is the most important commodity on Earth. Every country on this planet relies heavily on oil. Modern society would be impossible without oil because everything else in society depends on oil. This is going to have a massive impact, for instance, on food prices, because food is transported on ships and planes and in big trucks that use a lot of oil.
$6 in LA. Gee. Good Lord. $5.50 in SoCal. Whew. $5.25. Lord help me today. That is highway to the robbery. And some of you you're not being, well, we got to be careful too, because that ethanol, the low ethanol, 80, what is that, 85? What is that? It's cheaper, but your engine may explode if you put that in there. Because it's cheaper don't mean it's better. I mean, because it's cheaper, that means it's not better, but it depends on what kind of car you're driving. Whew, Boston. I know Boston's high. Lord have mercy.
And the same is true for other goods across the economy. So it's likely that this high price of oil is going to cause inflation to increase,
yes,
and potentially cause an economic crisis. And all of this was totally avoidable. And unnecessary.
Yes.
But Donald Trump has defended his decision to start this war of aggression against Iran. And Trump claimed that, okay, the oil price may rise well over $100, but he says that's a, quote, small price to pay, end quote. So
a small price to pay. Latrice says there in Belize, and it's $14.99, which is equivalent to $7.50. Lord help us today. I was in, what is the name of that city in the Bahamas? The Great Bahamas? What's it called? I forget the name of that city. Just about 2 weeks ago, that gas was so high, and I was like, how y'all doing this? I was on a cruise ship. And if we dock, I like to go and be with the locals. I told you all, I don't do all of the little touristy stuff. I do, but then I want to go sit with the locals. So I paid some good money, and we went in the city, and I wanted to sit among the locals. And we stopped at a gas station. And I said, because she just got to telling us that there are a lot of poor people all up in here. When I saw that gas, I said, Lord have mercy on my soul. How y'all surviving? And she said, we don't drive much. And then I looked up and I saw all these bicycles everywhere. I said, oh yeah, I get it now. So she's saying it's $7.50 in Belize. Thank you, Sam. Grand Bahamas. Yeah, very, very pretty little town there. Just pretty, but you can see that the king or the queen was there, and they now have sovereignty. What do you call that? I can't remember the word when you get your independence, but you can see Great Britain. You can see Great Britain all over that town. All right.
Potential economic crisis is a small price to pay. Meanwhile, one of the most important points of conflict in this war that the U.S. launched against Iran has been the Strait of Hormuz. This is a very narrow strait off the coast of Iran in the Persian Gulf, and this is the single most important oil transit choke point on Earth.
Yes.
Every single day before the U.S. started this war, 20% of the global oil supply traveled through this very narrow strait. And in response to the U.S.-Israeli war of aggression, Iran decided to close down the Strait of Hormuz. This decision has terrified the U.S. government, especially because a midterm election is coming up in November, and rising gasoline prices and inflation just a few months before the election are really going to hurt Trump and the Republican Party. This is why Trump is so worried and becoming so desperate, and he's trying to find a way to forcibly open the Strait of Hormuz. This is why Trump wants to send more U.S. warships to the region, and he's even trying to pressure other countries to also send their warships. However, this is where things get very interesting geopolitically, because the Iranian government has announced an exception. Tehran has revealed that it will allow Chinese oil tankers to pass through the Strait of Hormuz without any problems.
Of course.
And this has led to some ships trying to pass through the Strait of Hormuz to signal that they are Chinese-owned ships.
Yeah.
Although there's some speculation that these are actually foreign ships falsely claiming to be Chinese.
Wow.
But geopolitically, this is a major development. Iran is responding to a U.S. war of aggression that is also backed by much of the West, because many European countries have joined the U.S. in supporting this war. And Iran is now signaling to the West that this extremely important oil transit choke point is closed for them, but it's open for China, which has good relations with Iran.
Wow, the good old boys club. Ain't that something? You got to be a club member now to go through the Strait of Hormuz. Man, and somebody was talking about that the United States is going to win, that Iran don't have the proper weaponry, and they're running out of fuel, or they're running out of money, and they're running out of all this stuff. Listen, this war, I told y'all on the last show about this geopolitical stuff, is not going to be fought and won with weapons. No. The way to attack a nation is to attack it in its breast purse. You've got to hit a nation economically. Hitting them with a whole bunch of bombs is one thing. They'll rebuild. But you've got to hit them in the purse strings. You understand? And Iran seems small and insignificant. And this war helped America see geography like they never had before, because it is a fact that the United States citizens know nothing about geography. When you get somebody to come over here from a foreign land, they come over here and they are amazed at how we can't even name over 10 states on our own map. God help us if you give us a world map and we have to fill in the blanks. Most Americans will fail at it. They don't know these nations. They don't know. They said that most Americans never even heard of the Strait of Hormuz. Never heard of it. So it's no surprise that Donald Trump did what he did, because I guarantee you, even in his first administration, he had never heard of the Gulf of the Strait, that is, of Hormuz. He never heard of it. So when wars happen, that is a way for the United States citizens to see what geography was all about, that you went to sleep on when you were in grammar school and high school. Geography is important. And no preacher, no pastor, no elder, no bishop, no apostle should be struggling with geography, especially when it comes to Middle East or West Asia, where God's center of attraction is when it comes to prophecy. None should look at that territory and say, I don't know what that is. What nation is that? And you all are teaching Sunday school every weekend. All right? So it's ridiculous. And this is how the other nations will win. They're going to win an intelligent war, and they're going to win a heartfelt war, because America is too heartfelt, and that's what makes us weak. And the nations are going to win against this economic war. All right? So this doesn't matter where Iran is when it comes to their military might. They own the Strait of Hormuz, and they know we need it, and they know other nations need it. So what did they do? They said, aha, I got y'all. I got you, Mr. The great Satan. We got you, the great Satan, because without this strait, it doesn't just affect you. It affects all these other nations, especially the ones who are feeding you, like China, because everything you got in your house is made in China. So we're going to bring a pact, because these nations have Russia, Iran, Iran, and China, and a couple other nations are already coming together to cut off the power of the American dollar. The American dollar has always been the currency for the whole world. And now the nations have their own currency, but they needed the American dollar for geopolitical purposes. They don't need the American dollar for their political, economical, dealings. But when they need export, you got to do it through dollars. That was the agreement during the end of World War II, I think it was. I think it was the Bretton Woods Agreement. All right, I think it was. So this launching of this war in Iran could be the stepping stone, the introduction to the death of the American dollar in its stronghold for the whole world. This could be it, the launching pad right here. Now, he's probably going to say it because he's leading up to it. Because notice what he said. He said that Iran is telling China, we will let you go through the Gulf, through the Strait. You can get all the oil you need, but we won't accept American currency. Golly. It took me getting older and retiring to refocus on. That's crazy. I'm telling y'all, this is crazy. All right, well, let's see what he says here.
It's not just that. An Iranian government official also told CNN that Tehran will allow other countries to send oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz under one condition. They have to sell that oil in China's currency, the renminbi, also known as the yuan, not the US dollar. This is an extremely important geopolitical development. And this is a direct challenge to the global dominance of the US dollar. And this is the most powerful weapon that the US empire has. It's not the military, but rather the fact that the dollar is the global reserve currency. And this gives the U.S. what's known as an exorbitant privilege because it's the only country on earth that can print the global reserve currency.
Yeah, we talking at the same time, man. That's why I like watching you. It's the only one that can print. Do y'all hear that? It's the only one that can print itself into all this debt, thinking that it's printing its way out of it. This is why Richard Nixon. This is why, Sherry. Richard Nixon said, I have told my boys to stop the convertibility, remove the gold from the dollar, the U.S. dollar. We call it the gold standard. Why did he do it? People are judging him improperly for doing it. No, y'all, he had to do it. I know he did that whole breaking in the DNC. He did that whole Watergate thing. Yeah, he was a fool for that. But one of the smartest things that he did was in 1971, I think it is when he said, we got to take the gold off of here. It was smart. If he had not done it, and even though it's catch-22, because doing it did cause a problem. Yes. And today we can't get back on the gold standard. We just can't. It's impossible to get back on. It lasted too long. I will agree. But him not doing it would have brought us to this point we are right now, back in the 70s. Why? Because all the gold was right here, y'all. And it was tied to the American dollar. That's the agreement that all the nations agreed to when they met after World War II. And so you can go into the bank and you could get gold. You can exchange your dollar for gold and vice versa. That's just the way it was. But what was happening was America was overspending, which was weakening the dollar. And if it's weakening the dollar, then it's weakening the gold reserve as well. Thank you, Luann. August 15, 1971. Y'all remember that? Most of you all are older than me. Y'all remember. You were there. Y'all was in college then. Y'all was watching it on your your Zenith Quasar TVs. You remember that? Okay. So he needed to remove it because other nations was coming and said, give me my gold back. Give me my gold back. And America was like, uh-oh, we've got to fix this. Okay. But so America's doing what it was doing back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. We keep printing. It's our dollars are weaker. So the other nations are like, we can't depend on the American dollar because it's too weak now. It's not as strong as it used to be. Then what he's saying right here. Let me rewind that.
And ever is the global reserve currency. And this gives the U.S. what's known as an exorbitant privilege because it's the only country on earth that can print the global reserve currency. And every other country on earth needs to get access to dollars in order to pay for important imports, especially imports of commodities like oil. Because historically, for several decades, the vast majority, basically all oil on earth, has been sold in dollars.
Yes.
And every country on earth needs oil. Even major oil producers still often import a lot of oil,
like the United States,
because they may domestically produce heavy crude or light crude.
We have a lot of oil here. You're like, then why is gas is so high? Why can't we just rely on us? Because we can't. And we have reserves, but we need the other nations for the agents that's in our oil. It's a whole nother masterclass on that. And I think that's what he's leading up to here.
Or because historically, for several decades, the vast majority, basically all oil on earth, has been sold in dollars. And every country on earth needs oil. Even major oil producers still often import a lot of oil because they may domestically produce heavy crude or light crude or sweet or sour crude, but they need a mix of different kinds of crude.
There you go. And that's your question. That's your answer to those people who've been asking questions about the United States and open up the reserves, blah, blah, blah. We need Canada, you all. We need Canada in order for us to have a great oil reservation to help the American people. We need other nations. We need to import it. This is what he's saying here.
In order to process and refine that oil to use it domestically. So even the U.S., which is a major oil producer, still imports a lot of heavy crude from countries like Canada and Mexico. And
I'm telling y'all, I'm so glad that I watched this stuff for the first time with you all, just to prove my knowledge on this. I don't want to look like an idiot in front of you, but sometimes I test myself in front of y'all. And so far, I'm okay.
It's true for other countries around the world. And in order to import oil, the most important commodity, or many other commodities, food or natural gas or minerals, the vast majority of these products are sold in dollars because the dollar is the global reserve currency. So Iran is now challenging the global dominance of the US dollar and trying to forcibly de-dollarize the global oil market, which is the most important commodity market on earth. What this demonstrates is that Iran has mastered the art of asymmetric warfare. Military strategists in Iran knew that they could not compete with the U.S. military at the same level. The U.S. spends $1 trillion every year on its military. Iran spends a bit under $10 billion, less than 1%.
Lord, ham to the mercy, y'all. Y'all hear them stats? That's crazy. And that's why we thought we can beat them. This is the same problem that God had with the children of Israel, because they thought they were so mighty and powerful because they had such a strong military and they were winning wars. And God says, I'm going to show y'all something. It ain't you that's winning them wars. I'm the one winning these wars. All right. I'm helping y'all. But the day is coming, I'm going to take my protection off of you all. And they began to lose wars because they were relying on their military might. And they were forgetting that God was the one who was showing them up, bailing them out. That whole war with the Jehoshaphat and putting Judah first, that was God's strategy. They brought in the prophet Elijah. Prophesied to us because we don't know what to do. And he called in the minstrel. He said, bring in the musician. I want him to play so the atmosphere can be set, so that I can prophesy about what God's getting ready to do in this battle y'all getting ready to go into. And when God got involved, they realized they don't have to not shoot not one bullet. Put the singers out there front. Huh? That don't make no sense. Put the singers out there front so that they can sing praises unto the Lord. And when the enemies heard the music, they began to get confused and began to kill themselves. The battle is not yours, it's the Lord's. So it's always been the Lord's until they decided they forgot that it was the Lord's, and they leaned on their own strength and their own understanding. This is why Peter got on the water. He was walking because he saw Jesus and leaned on Jesus for everything. And then he said, shoot, this me doing this. And then he began to sink. He began to sink. And this is the same thing. God used Peter again. He was teaching him a lesson because he began to deny Jesus, because prior to him denying Jesus, he said, I'll die for you, Jesus. These other guys may leave you. He said, not me. There's no way I would deny you, Jesus. Jesus said, yeah, okay. Keep watching the cock. Keep your eye on the cock. All right. That's your alarm clock. And then when he was tested, the reason why he failed because he put too much trust in himself more than he did Jesus. This is the United States of America. We're putting too much trust in our military because we're putting trillions of dollars in our military, and we getting whooped by a little old nation called Iran. It's 350 million of us. It's only 9 million of them. And they beating our behinds to where the Jolly Green Giant got to call on these other nations to help. Help. And we are Mike Tyson biting the ear off of Evander Holyfield. This is us. We're biting the ear. Cock-a-doodle-doo, Layla. Cock-a-doodle-doo.
The U.S. spends $1 trillion every year on its military. Iran spends a bit under 10 billion, less than 1% what the U.S. spends. So instead, Iran recognized that the U.S. empire has several weak points. And the most obvious of these vulnerabilities is the roughly 24 military bases that the U.S. has throughout West Asia in the neighboring countries surrounding Iran. So just a few hours after the U.S. and Israel launched this illegal war of aggression in violation of the UN Charter on the 28th of February, just a few hours later, Iran started retaliating, and in self-defense, which it's allowed to do under international law,
right,
Iran started hitting the U.S. military bases in countries like the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, in Qatar, in Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Jordan, and other countries, as well as Israel itself. Iran has been hitting Israel, which joined the U.S. in starting this war of aggression. And it's not just U.S. military bases that have been hit by Iran, but also CIA stations. And by the way, this is a very interesting story because it has now been confirmed that the U.S. State Department was allowing the CIA to make a massive base of operations inside the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia. This is why Iran bombed the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia, which demonstrates, by the way, how many so-called U.S. embassies are not actually being used for diplomacy. They're being used for espionage. The CIA uses embassies around the world to plot regime change operations and to spy on countries and to carry out other extremely shady.
America is so wicked. We live in a wicked nation, and we point the fingers at these other nations. Bush Sr. called them the axis of evil. I think either Bush Jr. or Sr. called them that, and they are evil. But we are calling the kettle black. We are an evil empire. The United States is an evil nation. Since day one, we are wicked. Like the Jews in the Old Testament, they became wicked. And they began to worship at the altars of other pagans. That's us. We are wicked. So people are crying, Lord, Lord, in their churches. But the day is going to come when they're going to look at Jesus face to face. And Jesus is going to say, I don't know you, and I never knew you. He's going to be talking to America, the American Christian. The Catholic Church was boasting that they knew God more than anybody. And they launched these wars against the whole world, trying to get people to convert to a monotheistic God. And they themselves were evil. And hence the killing and wiping out of millions of people, witch burnings and the crusades and these inquisitions that they were having. They were just wiping them out. The Spanish conquistadors coming here to America and trying to kill all the Native Americans because they were trying to proselytize them to worship God. And then the Native Americans were going to their temples, their synagogues to worship, so-called worship God. And the conquistadors was like, hey, they converted. And then the Native Americans would leave there and go over there to their territories and then worship their way with their sun, moon, whatever how they worship. And the Spanish, they got upset. They were like, wait a minute, they're not being converted. They're not monotheistic. They are pluralists. And it began to wipe them out. America is the same way, and we calling it today Christian nationalism. There's nothing Christian about Christian nationalism. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. America is an evil axis of evil empire. And we're trying to make everybody else evil. Well, everybody else realized that we are evil. So we got these bases all over the place. And as the CIA got involved. And remember when Jimmy Carter tried to rescue the Iranian hostages, 1978-ish. Remember the Ayatollah captured them from the embassy there, and they were captured and they were hostages for how many days, y'all? It was 200 days, 300 days. I can't remember. It was a long time. And remember Ted Koppel every night on the nightly news. This is Ted Koppel. This is day 45 of the Iranian blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on. And Reagan, I'm sorry, Mr. Peanut, they call him. Okay. He decided to send our boys over there to rescue them. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? And that helicopter crashed. And it was an embarrassing moment for us. We talking about the same place, y'all. Iran. Same place. Well, Ronnie Buchanan's president, Donald Trump, is doing the same thing. Same thing. Ronnie Buchanan's president. Same thing. Because he wants me to kiss up to his president. And here's the thing about Ronnie and the rest of these cats. Ronnie does this all the time, y'all. He does this all the time. We allow him to be over here because every organization need a Judas. Every organization need a Judas. Because when Jesus picked Judas, he knew what Judas would be. He picked him on purpose. He picked him because he knew that this would be the guy that will usher in prophecy. So Ronnie is helping me usher in prophecy. So we need a Judas. And so the helicopter crashed. I can't remember Candidate 740, what happened. It wasn't that Iran shot it down. There was a mishap or something that happened, and it was embarrassing. 1979, Richard Hall's giving us the crazy thing is Iran refused to release hostages until Carter was out of the office. Yep. So the credit went to Reagan, even though Carter did most of the negotiating. That is absolutely correct. And Reagan took the credit. And when did they release him? While Reagan was talking at the microphone at his inauguration address, I think it was, the day he got inaugurated. At this moment right now, the Iranian hostages have been released. Everybody, y'all remember that? Whew. So here we are, y'all. History doesn't repeat itself, but it sure do rhyme. Say amen, Ronnie Buchanan. Say amen, because he loves to kiss the cracks of Donald Trump's behind. He loves that man. He loves. And here's the thing about people who are MAGA, because Buchanan he pays his dues to MAGA. I mean, he is a MAGA man. He will die for MAGA. Before he died for the sake of Christ, he will die for MAGA. Here's the thing about them. If you ask a MAGA, is there anything about Trump that you don't like? They will hesitate and won't say a word, which tells you how much they worship. Okay? Now, there are those who don't like things that he do and say. They don't like it, but they can't say it publicly. They can't. And when I see the Speaker of the House sitting next to Trump and saying, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir, no, sir, to everything that man say, knowing that it is unrighteous, I say, ooh, history's not going to look good for these guys. Just not going to look good for these guys. And judgment, when judgment comes, it's just not going to look good for these guys. Ronnie, do you hear me? It won't look good, man. Repent. Turn back to the Lord. Do your first works all over again. Because Ronnie watches the show faithfully. He said he watches it faithfully. And he only comment when I mention TRU. Can somebody finish it?
Operations. And it also demonstrates that Iran's intelligence capabilities are much better than many people in the West thought. Iran knew the CIA was using the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia, and that's why it targeted it. Moreover, the Wall Street Journal reported that Iran has successfully hit and significantly damaged U.S. Air Force refueling planes that were involved in this illegal war of aggression, helping the U.S. military bomb civilian areas in Iran, like elementary schools full of children. So Iran has demonstrated it has the capacity to respond. And I should point out that Iran's response in self-defense has actually surprised a lot of people in the U.S. government, because these U.S. imperial strategists made the mistake that every empire ultimately makes. They underestimated their adversary, the target of their aggression.
Yes.
The U.S. government believed its own propaganda. The U.S. thought that the Iranian government is hated by everyone in Iran, and it's a horrible dictatorship, and it's extremely fragile, and all the U.S. had to do was carry out the so-called decapitation strikes and eliminate all of the political and military leadership, and supposedly the Iranian government would collapse. That's why the Trump administration thought would happen. They thought it would be so quick and easy, like the U.S. attack on Venezuela in January. They thought they could do the same thing in Iran. Although I should point out, by the way, that the Venezuelan government hasn't fallen either. It's the same government. It's just the vice president who's now the interim president. But anyway, regardless, in the U.S., they thought they could just easily collapse the Iranian government And it didn't happen. And Iran has demonstrated that it has the capacity to actually defend itself and wage a campaign of asymmetric warfare against the most powerful empire on earth. And after initially attacking the U.S. military bases in the region, the Iranian military is now expanding its operations in this asymmetric war. And Iran has announced that it's going to target the offices of major U.S. corporations in West Asia. The IRGC, which is a major part of the Iranian military, said in a message, quote, "We warn the American regime to evacuate all American industries in the region," end quote. And the Iranian military, the IRGC, published a list with the addresses.
And I bet you that these military weapons companies are the ones. You see, you got to understand, war is lucrative. And the people that make money in war are those who are stockholders and those who are in politics, okay, those who are being funded by special interest groups, those who have businesses that help the war effort, those who are companies that make the weapons like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, that make your airplanes and all these other places. So Iran, again, they ain't got to launch no more weapons. This is intelligence warfare here. And he's getting ready to, I think I saw it on the screen.
Of some of these major corporate offices.
Here it is.
Of very important.
I knew it. He's Lockheed Martin is number one. All right. Boeing, Microsoft, Oracle, ExxonMobil, Citicorp, Amazon Web Services, Boston Consultant.
U.S. companies, including Lockheed Martin and Boeing, which are major corporations in the military industrial complex, making weapons and military equipment for the U.S. military, as well as Microsoft and Oracle, big tech corporations, along with Amazon Web Services. These Silicon Valley corporations have built big AI data centers and cloud farms in West Asia, especially in places like Dubai in the UAE. Furthermore, Iran is now targeting U.S. oil corporations like ExxonMobil and financial firms and banks like Citigroup, as well as other financial firms like Bain & Company and the Boston Consulting Group and commodity trading firms. So what Iran is now doing is waging a kind of guerrilla economic warfare, and it's giving the U.S. a taste of its own medicine, because the U.S. empire has been waging brutal economic warfare against Iran and many other countries around the world for decades. The U.S. has imposed illegal unilateral sanctions on 1/3 of all of the countries on Earth, including 60% of low-income countries in the global South. And just a few weeks before the Trump administration launched this illegal war of aggression against Iran, Trump's Treasury Secretary, the billionaire hedge fund manager from Wall Street, Scott Bessent, in a Fox News interview, Bessent boasted of the so-called maximum pressure campaign of economic warfare against Iran, these brutal sanctions against Iran. And Bessent took credit for the large protests that were going on in Iran that were largely caused by high rates of inflation and economic problems.
There are Treasury sanctions. And if you look at a speech that I gave at the Economic Club of New York last March, I said that I believe the Iranian currency was on the verge of collapse, that if I were an Iranian citizen, I would take my money out. President Trump ordered Treasury and our OFAC division, Office of Foreign Asset Control, to put maximum pressure on Iran, and it's worked. Because in December, their economy collapsed. We saw a major bank go under. The central bank has started to print money. There is a dollar shortage. They are not able to get imports. And this is why the people took to the street. So this is economic statecraft. No shots fired.
So after the U.S. tried to collapse Iran's economy, the Iranian government is now saying, okay, two can play at that game. We are now going to respond and hit the offices of major U.S. corporations.
Oops.
And it's quite clear what the Iranian government is trying to accomplish here. Tehran wants to expel the U.S. empire from this region, from West Asia. And this was spelled out by the new supreme leader of Iran, Mojtaba Khamenei, who's the son of the previous supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. And the U.S. and Israel killed Ali Khamenei on the first day when they launched this war. And by the way, Ali Khamenei was 86 years old.
Ready to
he was
die.
in bad health.
Yeah.
He knew he was going to become a martyr. He didn't even try to hide. He didn't flee.
hide.
He was in his office in the center of Tehran when he was.
Y'all, I'm telling you, you're underestimating these nomads. You are underestimating Arabs and Persians. They are not the same. There's Persians and there's Arabs and there's Jews. All right? They are not the same. We put them all in the same bracket because we are ignorant in America. We look at the Bible and we put them all, make them all the same. No. This is Abraham's children. This is Jacob's children. This is Ishmael, Isaac. This is Jacob, Esau. That's who's fighting. And there's this, if you study anthropology, you'll see how they all branched out and became who they are. They became Persians. All right. And they think differently. They strategize differently. You talking about some military intelligence? No. America don't understand. That's why you went over there to Vietnam thinking that it would be a scuffle for about a week long and we get going there and beat their butts and come out. That war basically started under, I would say, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. The talk of it was before Kennedy. We got Eisenhower, but then Kennedy, that war really started with him. And it went through his vice president. And it hit Nixon. All right. That was an embarrassing moment. Spent all that money over there, and our boys came back home. They were 19 years old. Many of them lost their lives. And they came back home without one ticker tape parade because they fought different over there. They were in the trees, bamboo, guerrilla warfare. So the United States thought, oh, they'll never happen to us again. Shh, you ain't never learned your lesson. And the children of Israel didn't learn their lesson. This is why the Assyrians came down and captured the northern empire. And this is why the Babylonians came and got those folks down there in Judah. Two large nations down there, Ephraim, Judah, and took them away. Because you think you got it all. You ain't. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead because it might be overkill. Yeah, Keturah children also. Yes. Come on, Luann. Come on. All right. Somebody had a prayer request. I think it was Jackson. Everyone can pray for Mother Valletta. Her left eye is droppy and is going, what is that? Throw bad, headaches and shoulder pains. I did take her to the ER and no stroke. Thank God for no stroke. So we pray and ask God to help our dear sister, Valletta Jackson. It's Breon here. We ask that you help and continue to heal this woman of God. And through so many people I saw while I was teaching, you all were praying for her. I saw it earlier, but I wanted to continue knowing that you all were on the wall. Sometimes I do stop my program when I see special request for prayer, and I'll start praying immediately and then get back to the program. But then there's sometimes God will tell me, keep teaching, because there are others there who are praying while you're teaching. And so I saw it. I can see things that y'all can't see. I see it. And so while I was teaching, I put a star next to that comment, knowing that I would be able to do it at the end. So y'all pray that the Lord will come through. The effectual, fervent prayer of the righteous, it do avail much. And so we thank you all for being obedient and praying for our dear family member on behalf of that eye, and thank God there was no stroke. Your pastors, I'm sorry. I apologize for their lack of wisdom and understanding and knowledge on these geopolitical issues. I know they're focusing on tithes and offerings and prosperity and my haters and all these things, and you all are not learning like you should learn. You can't really warn the people that the wolf is coming unless you know that what is a wolf. I'm sorry. I apologize, but you're not getting that. I do wonder though why you all are still there. Uncle Sir often wonder why are you still there though, if all these years that you're still not getting what you need? Is it that you're emotionally attached to that building and those people? Is that what it is? Maybe that's what it is. Okay, if you're emotionally attached, then do what you need to do until God heals your emotional attachment. But you need to find. I had somebody to order me some multivitamins today because I can't just eat food and not have a assistance with the food intake. I needed something to supplement my diet, which is multivitamins. I ran out a long time ago and never replenished it. So as it pertains to you all's churches, you all need supplemental spiritual help and knowledge of what's going on in the Word. Today, what I'm teaching is still in the Word. And so if you're going to stay at your church and you're not getting that kind of nourishment that you need, then you need to go somewhere where you can get that. And some of you have utilized YouTube. Your favorite teachers on YouTube might be Alan Parr, might be Rock Leach, it might be Corey Minor, it might even be Jay Wills, it might even be the Unction. All right, it's a whole bunch of cats out there who are teaching and doing a great job at giving you all that supplemental diet that you need, because your church may not be giving it all to you. Meat and potatoes are all right, but you need some fruit and vegetables and a lot of water. Okay, get as much as you can. But the best meat that you have is called the meat of the Word, the Word of God. God's meat have no bones. Can you put that in the comment section below? God's meat have no bones. So when it comes to the Word of God, we do not eat the meat and spit out the bones because it's boneless. You get it? I'll see y'all on Patreon tonight, So Walter Jones Show, as we teach the apologetics class. We're going to go back to what we did last Thursday to see some of the answers you all gave from those two questions we gave, and we'll further that teaching tonight on Patreon, So Walter Jones Show. Go there tonight around 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, okay? And tomorrow, Piano Room, and on, Finance Room this week as well, over there, okay? Thank you all for giving to the Cash App and to the P.O. Box. I bless you in the city, blessed in the field, blessed when you come and when you go. We cast down every stronghold. Sickness and poverty must cease, for the devil is defeated. We are blessed. All right, y'all. Gotta go. Take care of yourself. Jamal Bryant is one of the most brilliant minds we have today. He's a chef. He makes some of the best word salad in America. Only one problem, though. Those who make your food put things in it to make your body feel like it's being nourished.
85% of Jesus' life, he was out of order.
Artificial manufactured. Jamal Bryant is a great manufacturer.
85% of his life, he was not flowing in his God-given function.
Your thesis statements tell me your theology right away. That's what makes Bryant so brilliant, because he know his audience.
He's got something to say. He's got something to say. Sir Walter Jones. Sir Walter Jones. A week, always on time, but his time is not free. So Walter Jones, always on fleek. Latest trending topics have you jumping out your seat. He's got something to say.
Fellas, does it seem like you can't get a good woman? Ladies, wonder why you can't keep a man? Then read The 4 Women That Men Desire, Volume 1, by Sir Walter Jones, to figure out how to break the cycle. Go to Amazon.com to get your copy today.